is that supposed to mean?
Well, you know.
Of course, obviously, the Jay Stevens, a humongous entrapment deal.
He was caught on the pipe.
I understand that, but
on
I mean,
TV.
we've talked to the mayor, and everybody deserves this. We've been through this.
He deserves a second chance, and he's getting it.
He's getting it.
All right, we'll see what they do with it. That's all.
He'll be fine.
Besides, the bitch set him up.
You know, we don't need that kind of language here.
That's a quote.
Oh, that's right.
That is a quote.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He says all of that is behind him now, and it's upward and onward and upward from this point.
Well,
President Clinton is back on his home turf. The president and first family. That's not Washington, D.C., by the way.
Where would that be?
That's back in Little Rock, Arkansas this morning. They held a reception for old friends last night. The president dedicates the William Jefferson Clinton Elementary School just outside Little Rock tomorrow. Says he's happy to be back home.
We're looking forward just to spending some personal time visiting with our friends, saying hello to people, driving around the state a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm even going to have a few hours tomorrow where I have nothing on the schedule for the first time in years and years.
Going through Webb's safe.
Dodging Webb Hubble.
Hey, where's that letter I got from the president?
Probably in the trash at this point.
I might have put it in the shredder. I have to show you that. This is begging me to cut him some slack. And I'm the only one in the country who defends him.
This is where his slack gets cut, is right here.
He's even off of Richard Cohen.
I know. Boy, I tell you.
That's lucky.
The president,
that's a little strong.
Mr. Clinton returns to the White House tomorrow, I-Man, just in time for the Republicans to take control of the 104th Congress.
Time to pack.
He's got to meet the moving
all those
van.
Boxes of stuff ready. He'll be fine.
No, you really.
You know, man, I mean, you know, I've heard, George Will said this. A lot can happen in a day in politics.
Oh, certainly.
Marion Barry could come back.
Absolutely. I think Marion Barry should serve as an inspiration to Bill Clinton, frankly.
In more ways than one.
He already has.
No, that will be fine. I'm not going to tolerate any of this in this new year.
I'm sorry. Okay.
All right, fine, go ahead.
Incoming House Speaker Newt Gingrich has some words of warning for Democrats once the GOP does take over the situation tomorrow. In an interview broadcast on C-SPAN yesterday, Gingrich warned the Democrats against being simply the party that just says no. The Georgia Republican predicting the GOP will make some mistakes, trying to make the contract with America the law of the land.
I thought the contract was with them. I did think it was with America, not with HarperCollins.
Saw the light there pretty fast.
Man, let me tell you, he's never going to, I mean, having had some experience with book publishers, of course, Simon & Schuster primarily, but if you don't get the money in front, you're never going to get the money.
Well, he got it in front. A dollar.
Yeah, but I mean...
That's what he'll get out of it. A new USA Today Gallup poll found that more people see incoming Senate Majority Leader Bob Dole as the genuine leader of the GOP and not Mr. Gingrich. 69% of those surveyed for this poll see Senator Dole as the leader of the Republicans. Only 14% say they see Gingrich in that role. 54% approve of the way Senator Dole has handled the transition of power. 31% approve of the way Gingrich has handled that task. O.J. Simpson's lead lawyer says he's still quarterbacking the defense team. Yesterday's New York Daily News reported that Robert Shapiro would be bumped down, though, to the second string once the Simpson murder case goes to trial.
When does it go to trial? When does this thing start? What do we have, 6 to 8 weeks now of DNA hearings?
About that, yeah.
And whether we're going to allow into evidence this history of domestic violence in Mr. Simpson's life?
Yep.
Well, they obviously are going to let the DNA stuff in, right? Do you care anything about this now at this point?
No.
It is so... no. I mean, just...
Clearly, he did it, right? Well, of course he did it.
He should be Jeffrey Dahmer in prison.
There's blood all over everything. so if they let that in, then he's out of here, right?
Yeah, I would think so, man.
Or if I'm just...
No, you're not. No, not at all.
Yeah, so that's the end of that song.
The New York Daily News said Simpson wants attorney Johnny Cochran to take over from Shapiro. But after a meeting between the lawyers and Simpson at the county jail, Shapiro said he will remain in charge of the overall team until the case is concluded.
There are no changes in anyone's role regarding the defense of O.J. Simpson. We all have signed on to do a job, an important job, to defend a man who has been wrongfully accused.
The News reported yesterday that Cochran and F. Lee Bailey would play the prominent roles once the Simpson case winds up in the courtroom.
This is a New York tabloid reporting this?
This is the New York Daily News.
Yeah.
It's a legitimate tabloid.
Well.
O.J. reportedly displeased with Shapiro's grandstanding Some gag gifts he handed out to reporters covering the case also reportedly did not meet with O.J.'s approval, I-Man.
Well, I have one goal this year, and that's to get David Hinckley a job at either the New York Times or the Washington Post.
Yes.
And get out of there.
See ya, Daily News.
David Hinckley is this extraordinarily gifted writer here in New York who doesn't always write nice things about me, but that's fine. But he works for the New York Daily News, and I don't get it.
No. He's far above that.
Same with Dennis Hamill. What's he doing there?
I don't know.
I just don't get any of
There's
this.
no explanation for it. I'm sorry.
I hate to be hammering the New York Daily News, but they're just...
But they're there.
It's just not happening. Is it?
No, it's not.
Although they're actually pretty good to me, aren't they?
They've been very, very fine to the I-Man.
Did you see me on the cover of the TV thing? That's interesting.
No, I didn't.
Not only do I not have a television show, I don't want one. There I am on the cover of their TV magazine. It's a pretty good picture, isn't it?
Look at that photograph.
Yeah.
Almost lifelike.
You know...
That's
No, it looks good,
That's
actually.
Clint Eastwood.
What is that, Lear's magazine?
Stephanie, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm fine. Could you get me some coffee, please, or I'll fire you?
Yeah.
Those are your options?
Can you fire interns?
Of course you can.
Absolutely.
You can do what you want to do.
So last night, the Florida State Seminoles beat the Florida Gators, and so Fat Bobby Bowden won, and I was happy about that.
Yep.
I obviously didn't see it. Penn State beat the Oregon Ducks.
Can people named Ducks win anything?
No, well, they shouldn't be able to. And Nebraska's #1 according to the polls this morning, right?
Yep.
Both polls, or?
An Associated Press poll and a poll in USA Today, the CNN coaches poll. Those are the polls that are out so far.
Does UPI still exist except in the guise of Helen Thomas?
Just in our memories, I-Man.
I love Helen Thomas, by the way, don't you?
No, hot item.
She's not a hot item. She's 155 years old. But
Yeah,
I mean, she is...
She looks like Yasser Arafat with a wig on. Good Lord. Retire.
And Mary McGrory, I love her with those Swifty Lazar sunglasses. Now, what is that all about? I'm back to us, Mary. All right, it's 22 after the hour here in New York. Senator Alphonse D'Amato, who probably hasn't slept in about a week, just chomping at the bit to turn on those Klieg lights and get some Arkansas weasels squirming. Yeah. Man, I mean, can he stand it?
No.
And one of our favorites, Tim Russert. Is Greenfield on this morning?
Negative.
Greenfield's on too much.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Jeff Greenfield, maybe News, who absolutely is our all-time #1 guest. And,
but overexposed.
Yeah. And Tim Russert, the Washington Bureau Chief for NBC News, and a host of Meet the Press will be on. He's complaining about that we're taking advantage of him by putting him on the most influential morning radio program in America with about 10 million listeners. That's how we're taking advantage of him.
So he can be seen and heard?
So somebody can see him. God. I'm lucky he's not going to be here in person because I could get violent.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And also Senator Robert Dole, the new majority leader in the Senate, and Dick Armey, the majority whip in the House, a man whom we have never spoken with.
Yeah.
But he does have the potential to say inappropriate things about a number of people.
Sure.
Hopefully we can goad him into doing that this morning.
About you.
Also coming up this morning, Rush Limbaugh and Ross Perot and Richard Nixon and some Delbert McClinton, and Fred Imus is in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And at the Auto Body Express.
Yeah.
He's my brother, and we'll talk to him. All that coming up.
Great.
He came into the world from the right side of town, Georgia boy who was big and round, and his mom and dad thought they were being cute. Because even though he was their pride and joy, they christened him unlike all the other boys. I tell you, life ain't easy for a boy named Newt. He dedicated his life to the GOP, wanted to be speaker since the age of 3, dreaming one day he'd wield power absolute. He's a guy who spends a lot of time in the fridge, and it's no wonder he wants to bring back the orphanage. You would too if your parents named you Newt. He learned how to add and how to divide, married his math teacher and multiplied, but when he went to subtract himself as a matter of course, it was slimy and low rent, the media said, to visit his wife in her hospital bed to get her to grade his paper for a divorce. Well, it may be because he hails from the South, but he's got a little problem controlling his mouth, making statements that the media thinks are crude. Sometimes he pushes the envelope, like saying everybody at the White House is smoking dope, but he don't mean no harm. That's just old Newt. When he went to D.C., Mr. Gingrich swore someday he'd be there on the Capitol floor, chucking out liberals with a big self-satisfied sneer. And it took almost half a century to get Republicans back in the majority, but when it happened, he said, "My name is Newt. How do you do? All you commies out of here." All you atheists had better beware. School children's heads will now be bowed in prayer, beseeching the Lord to get rid of the poor and the queers. Because Newt and his Republican protégés are going to fix this country in just 100 days. I'm so proud of him, I'm on the verge of tears. If I had only one life to live, I'd still do it all as a conservative. But if I ever have a son, I think I'm going to name him Bob or Jesse, anything but Newt.
Rush Limbaugh here in the Imus CSPAN program, and a boy named Newt.
Well, my daddy left home when I was 3, and he didn't leave much to Ma and me, just this old guitar and an empty bottle of booze. Now, I don't blame him because he run and hid, but the meanest thing that he ever did was before he left, he went and named me.
Imus in the morning. Only Max and Auto Group